Hi everyone. I hope you enjoyed your weekend and you were able to spend Mother's Day with your families, whether you were 6 feet apart or if you were using technology to use a webcam or Zoom or Skype to be able to chat with your mom on Mother's Day. And I certainly wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. I have much love and much respect for women stepping into those roles. I know that it's a selfless type of role, it's a selfless type of love to be a mom, and I want to say happy Mother's Day to you all. I want to tie the topic back in this week. So we talked about forgiveness of others last week. We talked about how important it is that we can't look for someone else to come back and apologize. We can't always expect someone to come say, forgive me, because it's not always going to happen. And we can't wait on that expectation, right? If we're holding on to the difficulty, the stress, the negativity from it, and we're holding on to it, it's not affecting them, it's affecting us and how we are. And if we can't forgive other people, I mean, it makes life really difficult, and life can become very dark and very consuming very fast. So this week, I want to dive into the topic of forgiveness of self. This one is also very near and dear to my heart, and I will express to you, as you've seen through all these videos now, 6 weeks worth, that I make myself vulnerable. I'll have another video about this in the near future. It's not on my list. It's actually a video that it's just a topic in my head. Men tend to really hold on to things and not open up and not be vulnerable. And I want to also use this as a way, and again, it's not just directed to men because women can do the same thing. They can bottle up and not talk about emotions and really have a difficult time. So I want to continue doing this in a way that I can express myself, express vulnerability. This is where I've been. This is what happened to me. This is how it affected me. This is what I did. This is what helped me to potentially overcome part of the situation or to get better with it or to have a better view on it. Here's what helped me. And I will tell you, when it comes to forgiveness of others, forgiveness of self is to me more difficult. And you may think to yourself, well, why? I'm going to explain that. For me, in my life, I'm very self-aware. So I can look backwards and say, man, I must have really made this situation very difficult. I must have made life here very hard. I had high-level anxiety. I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with loss. I was dealing with so much that my life was so consumed with this negative perception and then all these emotions flooding in and all these views. I didn't stand a chance. I just did not stand a chance. I wanted better, but I had no clue how to do it. I had no clue how to better myself. So along this journey, I got to a point when I really handed things over to God. I've talked about that lots of times in the videos. When I handed things over to God and I stopped picking things up and I walked away from it, just like I have to do sometimes, like finding work, for example. I have to put it down at His feet here and there, and sometimes it's more than I'd like to. And then I do my best to stop. I do my best to, in faith, continue applying to jobs, looking for what I need to look to, because I know that the right job, the right employer, the right company is going to see value in me regardless of anything, right? A company is going to see the value technically, and they're going to see the value in what I bring to the table, how I can help encourage other people. And I hope that this is an avenue I can also help that be more clear. So in my life, looking back and seeing those times and handing everything over to God, I had to be able to look at my life, because it wasn't just, here, God, I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to handle this. I shouldn't have been using my will. It was, I know where I fell short. It was, I'm seeking forgiveness from the things that I know I did wrong and the way I know I made life hard for people, and that I was a difficult person to be around and I was a difficult person to talk to, and I wasn't always as easygoing as I liked to have been back then because of the stress, and I let it get to me. I let so much get to me that I wasn't the parent I wanted to be. I wasn't the husband I wanted to be. I wasn't the man I needed to be. I wasn't the example I wanted to be in the workplace. I wasn't who I wanted to be and who I needed to be honest. I really let a lot of life take me down and take me down a path I never should have went down. And I dealt with lots of things. There were things outside of my control that I had to deal with, and I may dig into those in another video, but I've dealt with anxiety and depression, yes, but I've dealt with suicidal thoughts. I have had suicidal actions seconds from taking my life away. I've had addictions, and I've had so many things because of all of life being outside of my control and having no clue what to do. As you can tell, I let life get the best of me, and I didn't stop and see what was around me and be grateful and be appreciative with that right, loving, optimistic perspective. I let everything just wear me out and weigh me down where it was so heavy that people could see it. I'm one that has his heart on his sleeve, and yes, I can keep a lot of what I feel from people. But when there's too much, I can't hide it, no matter how hard I try. When there's too much, it's very clear. Because I tend to just break down. And I don't mean break down in front of people, but you can just tell. If you know me, you can tell. So when it came to my journey, I had to get to a point where I said, forgive me for what I've done. Forgive me for not being a good enough dad and being on my children's level and being a good husband and being a good man and a strong enough Christian to keep my roots and being the example I needed to be for other people in my life to be able to shine forth not who I am, but whose I am. And it didn't just take an overnight thing to overcome that. Forgiveness of self is not an easy thing. Forgiveness of self can absolutely take time. It's like grief. There's a process that we have to go through. And if you skip steps or if you just don't do it, you'll spin for years. What I'm leading towards is to say that forgiveness of self is not always the easiest thing to do. We have to be patient in growth. When we're trying to grow through new things, when we're trying to overcome obstacles, when we're dealing with addictions, when we're dealing with depression, when we're dealing with anxiety, it's not a, hey, Michael, don't be anxious anymore. Okay, I have anxiety. Thanks, I never thought about that. It's not that easy. For someone who's lived with it his entire life, I can tell you, it's not that easy. And it's great when people want to help. It is awesome when people want to help and want to be encouraging and want to say the right thing and they have no clue what to say. And I loved and respected everyone who ever said things even close to that to me because I knew where their heart was coming from. Yes, it did kind of seem silly, but I knew exactly where their heart was coming from. And to me, that's what touched my life the most, is that I knew there were so many people that cared. So I got to this point and I dropped everything at his feet and I dropped all of my issues from the past. I dropped the things in the present I was working through, trying to overcome. I handed it to his feet and said, walk me through this. I don't have to see, you don't have to show me what I'm doing, just walk me through this. Guide my feet where I need to go because you know what I need. And it's absolutely amazing when we do that to be able to see how God can move our lives. If we're really handing the reins to him, like we've talked about with control, if you're really handing it over to him and you trust him and you want him to do what's best for you and you're open and you're receptive in your heart and in your mind, God can do so much good for you. And in my life, he allowed me to stop blaming myself. I wanted to touch on this earlier in the video and I forgot. But I blamed myself for so many things that went wrong. And see, bad things happen to everybody, bad and good. It's not because we've done wickedness in our life that bad things are happening. It's just part of life. It's just part of the things that happen around us, and we can't just live in a constant state of blame. We can't just constantly beat ourselves up for it. We can't honestly live as a victim either. We have to be self-aware enough to know this is my responsibility for the problem. And I need to do my best to make changes and to fix this part of the problem and move forward. Anyways, I hope that this thought hasn't been too scatterbrained. Hope it's been encouraging to you and that you have a great day and a great week. If you need anything, as always, reach out and thank you for watching.